Hello, everybody. What's happening, y'all? And welcome to another edition of Courtside with Christy and Gabe right here on the Her Hoop Stats Podcast Network. I am Christy Winter-Scott, joined as always by my guy, Gabe, Ibrahim, and Gabe. Hey, man, look, one of one, the one and not the two. I don't know, White Mamba. Let's see, what else can we come up with? Listen. Diana Taurasi is her, okay? Let's just put that out there right now. The only player ever in the WNBA to score 10,000 points. And this is a player who personifies work ethic, sacrifice, dogged mentality. And when you have the late, great, iconic Black Mamba, Kobe Bryant, give you the moniker of White Mamba, you know you have to carry it forth. And I will tell you this, that night when she eclipsed 10,000 points, the fact that it was at the 8 minutes and 24-second mark of the game in that quarter, I was about to pass out. I mean, she needed 18 points coming into the game, right? And then what did she have? She had 10 at halftime.
She had 42 at the end of the game.
42. And who wears number 42, Gabe?
Oh, who wears 24?
No. Who wears 42 on the Mercury?
I didn't even think about that.
I'm just taking you down a little astrology rabbit hole.
Yes, the Kobe astrology numerology thing. Like, I don't believe in a lot of it, but some of it's too. Like, this one's a little bit like, did they plan this? Like,
how?
Where are the script writers?
No way. There's no way. Just like Kobe's last game when he scored 60, how that wasn't scripted. That's how magical that felt when she had just hit, like she went in for a filet layup, boom, 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 right? And then she comes out, knocks down a three. I'm like, oh, and everybody's like swelling up, like, oh, she's about to get it. Oh, let's go, DT, boom, 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 boom. And then I'm telling, organically, on their very next offensive possession, bam, three ball. And everybody went crazy. And then the clock, I'm like, oh my God, the clock is at 8:24. What in the world, man? Come on now.
Well, and on that last play, it's interesting too, because like it wasn't like the play was in the flow of the offense, but Diana changed the play. So I was watching this and I was like dissecting it. I was like, this is such a Diana Taurasi play. Like, yeah. So they the Mercury and a bunch of teams, the Mystics run a ton of this. The stagger in the corner, down the corner, action to start the play. Mm-hmm. And this play they had run like a touch action at the top with Diana and Mariah, and then there was a screen, and then they were going into that pin down into the corner, and Diana waved them off. It was like, okay, we're not doing that, because on the last few times that we had done that, she had done that play, she was able to come, and then the whoever was covering her, I think at that point it's still Ryan Howard would trail, and then the big would hedge, but still being dropped. So her best play was to always go towards the rim, towards the elbow. So it was getting her 2 points, getting her layups, getting her pull-ups at the elbow. Yeah. Diana, she has a sense of the situation, right? She wanted 10,000 points on a three in that moment. Yeah. And so she waved them off. They go into a different action, and then then they bring back that corner pin down where she's coming around, and she gets the three. And it was like, this player is amazing. And then you look at the clock, and then you think about everything else that happened in the rest of the game. It's just like, she just has that sense of the moment. And Kobe did too, right? Like, it's the great ones that have it.
Absolutely. And isn't that the play? That's what I was doing. That didn't Kobe call the play like he's dribbling? Get out the way.
Yeah, that's get out of my way, please.
Everybody out.
Everyone else is gonna take a quick seat on the bench. Get a breather.
You said a quick seat on the bench.
Pal, you can start running back in the later years.
What'd you say?
In the later years, just sending Pal back to run on defense. Like, hey, I'm shooting.
That's right. No, hey man, listen. I thought that was so funny. Who did that? Didn't Asia Wilson just do that? Didn't she do that in the All-Star game? I don't know. It's just really funny to me. But that's, you're right. It's the mentality of, someone who is a huge competitor. And the fact that, and I'm going to go a little more with astrology, then I'm going to leave it alone because I'm not really heavy into that. I'm not super heavy, but when stuff like that happens, come on, that's real. Like, that's not, theatrical. That's not, what do you call it? Real Housewives of the WNBA. Like, we're not running a reality situation here, reality show where it's scripted or maybe scripted or whatever. But when you're talking about Diana Taurasi and her mentality and her mental makeup, she's a Gemini. So am I. So we're gonna claim DT. But look, the fact that she said, when you are at the level of a Diana Taurasi, the fact that she said the 10,000 points, that's a record for all of us, right? And it was very kumbaya. It was very like, oh, throw up the heart, it's for all of us. And I felt that very sincerely and very genuinely from her. But she followed it up with the other side of Gemini, which, we're like, yay. And then we're like, killer. For her, she said, and I have comfort in knowing that no one's ever going to beat that. I was like, you have to love. I love that. I was laughing so hard. I was like, I totally identify. Like, it's a great deal. She's like, yeah, I mean, this is like for every women's basketball player. Like, this is like, this is for all of us. This is for everybody. And we're not even counting the points with USA basketball, at UConn, at AAU, high school. Like, we're not counting up all those big buckets and playing overseas in the Euro leagues and all that. And she missed a couple of years in the WNBA, when she was injured and all of that. But I don't know. I just kind of love the two sides of the sword when she was like, oh, yeah, it's for everybody. And then she's like, and no one's ever going to get it. I was like,
it's extremely Diana Taurasi. And we do. I'm sure there's people out there who think we talk about Kobe too much. Might be fair. I don't know. But to me,
never do that.
Among Kobe's peers, and even because there's people who've come after Kobe who are emulating him in the same way he kind of emulated Jordan.
Yeah.
Right. So it all comes down from there. But among Kobe's peers, there's not a lot of people like him. The person what I'm getting at here is the person who among Kobe's peers reminds me the most of him is Diana, even among the NBA guys, because it's the same mentality. Yep. It's the same sort of style of play. It's almost the same sort of style of leadership. Yes. You could see why those two gravitated towards each other when they were in situations where they were together, because it was like they have that it's Mamba mentality. I don't know but I know we talk about that with a lot of people, but I'm saying just the way they act, the way they lead, the way they played is so similar, and the kind of energy they brought is similar. And you don't find a lot of people who, you look at them and you're like, oh, they love Kobe. They're playing like Kobe. Diana and Kobe just kind of organically got to the same point of being very similar to each other.
Absolutely. I mean, I wear this bracelet every day. Can you see? my
yes,
Mambasita, Gigi's way. I wear it every single day. And I saw when I was in Dallas for the Final Four, they introduced several of the upcoming Hall of Fame inductees, right? Becky Hammond's going in, which is going to be really fun to watch. But several.
Dwayne Wade's going in.
Dwayne Wade's going in. I know you love that. But Pau Gasol was there, right? And we were sitting right there at the table. And they were coming off the court, and he was shaking hands with us and everything. And we both reached out, and he had it on and I had it on. Oh. And I was like, dang, man. And it's stuff like that, like the exchange of common ground, of understanding of, and I know that, I mean, I wasn't that close to Kobe, only interviewed him a couple times. It's, I don't know. There was just something in that moment where we just know that his impact and Gigi's impact on the basketball world, I think will never go away. I wear it every day just as a constant reminder to be at my best. And sometimes it's not easy, but I think it's just a constant reminder. And I didn't wear this for today. I wear it every day. Okay. Yeah. But it's just a constant reminder that, number one, life is short. But number two, just to realize, the mentality that you need, whether you're an athlete or not, you're going to be a pro in something. Right. Yeah. And I think it's up to your mentality and your decisions that you make for yourself and your character that Kobe stood for. And I think that's why he said with Taylor Swift, and how, she can sustain her excellence and do better each album because she's a killer. She has a killer mentality, and those are his words. So I just think it's just interesting to, like you said, understand like the like-mindedness of a Diana Taurasi and a Kobe Bryant, and Gigi too. She had it. And that's makes it even more heartbreaking. That is that she had that, and we don't get to see that evolve.
And I think, to that point too, it's like we do get, and this is so great that we got to celebrate this with Diana. Like, this is an awesome moment. She already had the scoring record. So it's like, we're not going to get another scoring milestone unless it was this one. And she stuck around, and I don't know, she may play another like 5 years. Like, it's Diana Taurasi. I don't know.
She's killing people. She got 42. Like, she's killing, like 25-year-olds don't have 42. Like, she's in her 40s. What'd you say?
We should talk a little bit more about her actual performance in this game, because she was straight up cooking people. And like early on, Atlanta was just trying to play, defense, and they weren't trying to like really stop Diana. It wasn't like that wasn't their initial goal in the game. I think was not to go after Diana, and so she got some buckets just based on like good action. I thought actually the Mercury played a really good game in terms of running their actions well, setting their screens well, getting into their secondaries well.
Yeah.
Not letting the ball stick, which is crazy in a game where Diana Taurasi had 42 points. But she was really getting everything in the flow of the offense. And then Atlanta started to say, okay, we have to stop her. It was kind of after that she got the 10K, and then she got to like 24, and they were like, okay, we have to stop her now. Yeah. And so then by that time, the switch, it was flipped.
Yeah, she's in the mode. She's in the mode.
It was like she had like 20 points in like the early third quarter, and then she exploded, and then they had to start fouling her. But she had one where she like, it's Alicia Gray. This is a top tier defender in this league.
Yeah.
She had her just like in the palm of her hands, little baby in the top of the key, just boom, shoulder bump, come back out, hit you, then come down next time, fake the shoulder bump, give you a spin. It was like, it was like watching that Kobe 60-point game as well, because you're like, he's got this. Yeah. The thing about Diana was like, it wasn't, you could tell she wasn't like trying to get to like, she didn't think she was going to score 40 that night, because the way she started the game was just so in the flow of the offense. And then she just got going. And then Atlanta, it was just too late for them by the time they figured out that they had to foul her, because all they could do was grab her. Because at some point you have to say, I'm not letting the senior citizen beat me, right? Like I said, someone as a player, obviously Diana is one of the greatest of all time, but in your mind, you're like, she's 40. Like, I need to do something. Like, I need to hit her or get her on the ground, make her do something. But then it was too late, and Atlanta just hadn't got her out of her flow. And I thought Diana played great, and the Mercury deserve a lot of credit for playing that really nice, fluid offense.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. You know what? I think just going back to what you said about her being, in her 40s now, I just think, listen, mentally, she's going to beat you. I don't care. Physically, you might be stronger, faster, younger, right? But mentally, she's going to be more fierce than you 10 times out of 10. Okay. And I'm going to take some words from my girl, LaChina Robinson. It's a smoke show. Mm-hmm. At that point, it's a smoke show. Like, there's nothing you can do with that, because she's going to beat you mentally. You can try to bump her or whatever, right? But quite honestly, I'm going to take a player who is stronger than you mentally over somebody who's stronger physically, because the mental strength and the mental toughness and the competitive fire is going to win you more games than someone being physically gifted, right? Or physically stronger or younger, right? I'm going to take somebody who has the maturity and, vets over rookies. That's what I'm saying.
Well, and we talked about Atlanta last week, kind of having trouble, converting their talent into, kind of that cohesive unit. And I think in this game, it kind of came out again, where it was like, they didn't have a good plan up front. And it's like, okay, we're going to adjust. But then they just they don't take you out of what you want to do.
Right.
Like they may force you to a secondary action, but it's like, okay, we're still getting the ball where we want to in that spot, even if they deny the first option.
Yeah.
And, I think for Atlanta this time, it was just, they had to, I don't even know if it was a just because it was too late. Like you could have done anything to Diana Taurasi by the mid-third quarter. It's like, okay, we have no choice. Like she's just going to get buckets if she wants buckets. And it's kind of you ever hear that country song by Toby Keith? I ain't as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was.
Oh, no, but I'm going to listen to that because that fits me. Like, that's like
Hey, you can't. Hey, when you get older, right? That's the thing that changes. Sometimes, your knee just hurts and it's like, you can't play pickup, but then sometimes it doesn't hurt. And then you can power through. Or sometimes you hit a couple buckets and you're like, I don't care how much my knee is hurting. I'm going to play this game because this might be it.
That's right. But lay it on the line.
I just think Diana got going. She got downhill and she was like, hey, I at least got the today in me. Maybe not tomorrow. Maybe I got to rest tomorrow. But like today I got in me.
Yeah, she did, man. It was beautiful to watch. And I think, just the celebrations and the videos and all of the comments by everyone in the sports world, like football, basketball, WNBA, NBA, NFL, like everybody gave her flowers and her respect and, as they should, right? I mean, this is something, I think we get spoiled sometimes when we watch generational players like that. And, I just think that it can't be understated for me, because it's uncommon. Like this is something that is not a common situation. It's not a common entity for someone to be able to mentally wear you out, okay, like take you down. So and over the course of 20 years, like we're talking about the sustainability of excellence for a player like Diana Taurasi. And I know, they had the side-by-side with LeBron, right? But, and I think who said this? I think it was Deborah Peters. And forgive me if I'm wrong, but I saw so many like comments about the side-by-side picture that the question was, had it been reversed timeline wise, would they have put, like if LeBron got his record like this season coming up rather than him already achieving it, like if he got it in November of this year, would they put up, oh, look at LeBron, it's just like Diana? Like would it, and it made me think about it, because I'm like, oh, okay, are we still chasing respect, or have we actually earned that respect as women who are professional basketball players? Have we earned that respect on our own and not needing, to quantify that achievement by comparing it to what someone in the NBA has done? Like, okay, so does that confirm that if it's flipped, okay, and LeBron gets it this year in November, he hasn't gotten it yet. Let's just think Diana just got it. LeBron gets it in December, okay, whatever. And, we see on social media, oh, look, Diana Taurasi did it in August, and now look, LeBron James did it. What does that feel like to the viewers? Like, what does that feel like for the fans? And what does that feel like for our youngsters, boys and girls, right? What are we looking at in that? And I'm just asking the question, because I think it's Natalie Achanwa who said that. Matter of fact, I think it was Natalie.
Wasn't there another post about it was like something that seemed a little bit more derisive, but it was kind of like the same idea of like, oh, like look at the set of accomplishments of these great players. Just trying to talk about them.
Right. I feel that, but I mean, I was saying like that was like. Say it again.
So yeah, I know, I remember there was some sort of controversy, and maybe it was about this post. And I'm in agreement with you. I mean, I don't think that would happen, frankly, for LeBron. And frankly, why does LeBron matter in this situation? Like, if for Diana, and to your point, and that, like, women have earned the respect. They don't need confirmation.
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
They don't. And to me, and to fans of the game, if I love basketball. I love when women play basketball. I love when men play basketball. I love when anyone plays basketball. Right. So for me, I don't need to think about LeBron in when Diana Taurasi is doing her accomplishment. and we don't even think about Kobe when Diana's doing Diana's making her accomplishments. It just was it's comforting and nice, and like there's a deeper connection, right? It's a deeper connection than just like, oh, these two players are great and played at the same time. Like, no, there's a real connection between, Diana and Kobe.
Right.
And so like, that's why the heat comes up. But to me, it's like, yeah, we don't need, like, I wish it's a certain company in Connecticut who does this a lot, that, post these stuffs, and it's just to get, kind of likes and clicks and people to say, hey, they're saying, hey, people like LeBron, right? That's what their data analytics, like, people like to click on pictures of LeBron. Well, let's put a picture of LeBron with a picture of a WNBA player so that people click on it, and then maybe they'll watch a WNBA. Whereas I'm sure that is what the social media
need that
formula says, right? But really, if you just say like, hey, Diana, 10,000 points, congratulations from, everyone, here's the list of players who have scored, who are on the all-time scoring list for the WNBA. This is how far ahead she is. These are some of her greatest plays. Like, that's the kind of Instagram post that I think really would make sense for the WNBA in terms of if you want the game to grow and you want players to be seen for who they are and to be respected just for their own accomplishments, which everyone in this league deserves, you don't need to compare them. And I think, and there's such a cool thing in this, like, that's one of the things I want to talk about was the all-time scoring list in this league, and like, who else is on it? Who's active? Like, who may get to this point? That's what we talk about when we talk about LeBron's, and like, so that's kind of what I think the conversation should be. It should be more like the one we had when we were talking about LeBron.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, if you ask Diana who's going to beat it, she already told you nobody's going to get it. So I mean, there's that.
I have a theory. Like, I have two picks. I'll tell you in a sec. But
don't to make. You have two picks. So well, I think didn't people said that there are a couple people that have more points at a certain juncture of their career than Diana did. Who was that though?
Well, I mean, if you want to take two guesses.
I mean, I know one of them.
It's Asia and Brianna Stewart. Asia Wilson, Brianna Stewart.
Yeah.
Those two, I mean, like, I don't have the exact points, but I did do like the math of like, okay, entering their age 28 season for Brianna, age 26 season, I think, for Asia, or age 25. They're like right on pace with Diana, right? And Brianna lost some years there too.
She did.
Just like Diana did. Asia's, been lucky to be healthy and hasn't missed anything. So, but here's the other thing. There's more games now. 40
games this year.
More games. Probably a little bit more rest for at least those two, because they're not going to be going overseas.
Yeah.
There's going to be more time to recover and get better.
Good point.
I think they have a really good chance, right? And you look at the other, so the next closest player all time, Tina Thompson, has 7,488. The next active player is actually DeWanna Bonner, former teammate of Diana Taurasi, with 6,694. So she'll probably get to 7. DeWanna will get up there, but like, she doesn't probably have enough years to get to the point where Diana is. So it's like, Asia and Brianna should be the players that have a chance, hypothetically, of reaching it. That's kind of great for the league.
That's awesome for the league, and I think it just going back to standing alone in the achievement without being compared outside of the WNBA. I just think that when you have that respect, like if LeBron made a post about Diana, then post that. That if you want to show the respect of the moment, right? Show the comments. And I think they clipped off a bunch, and maybe they did do that as well. Because they had, I think it was like some graphic where they had like a ton of comments that were made by several different people. And I love that too. But at the same time, like we don't need that, I don't think. And I think if you ask both of them, if you ask LeBron and you ask Diana, and I'm not putting words in their mouth, I'm speculating, obviously, but I would think they're on the same page as us with that. Like, the achievement stands on its own without having to be measured up against something else in a different league by a different person, by to quantify how heavy that achievement is. I don't know. I've been kind of just marinating with it over the last couple of days, and I just I'm like, she did that. She did that, and let's give her that moment by herself, right?
Well, and I think the history.
Let her feel it.
One thing, I love history. I was a history major in college.
Oh.
Actually, I was broadcast journalism history minor. No, to be technical about it. So I love history. But like what we're going to look back on in history really is we're going to see Diana's name at the top of the list. And we're going to know that she was the first one to get to 10K. And honestly, you know what? I couldn't figure out which NBA player was the first one to get to 10K. I didn't do that much research because I didn't like have that much time. But I'm thinking it was Wilt, but like I couldn't find out. And it's like, you know, we live in a day and age where everything is chronicled. Right. And, you know, we in the future, hey, maybe the Instagram post saying that you got 10,000 points is in our, you know, quote unquote history book, whatever, you know, thing we're looking at for the history of WNBA. Yeah. But that post about LeBron won't make it. And I think that's kind of the point, right? It's like when you're creating this content.
Interesting. Yeah.
You got to think about, you know, the conversation now may be whatever. But what is the conversation you want to create going forward, especially for these type of events?
Exactly.
Like, how do we want to cover it? And I think, you know, we'll look back and we'll see the good stuff. But yeah, I'm hopeful that we don't have to do that anymore. Like, LeBron's great. Love LeBron. Great guy. Awesome. He should have never left Miami, but that's neither here nor there. But like, we don't need to talk about him when we're talking about Diana.
Right. No, I agree. And you know, I just think that it's I don't know. I would like to maybe do a poll. We should do a poll on social media, on wherever, and get people to see what they think about that. I think it's worthy. I'm just intrigued by that, and not that I want to do a poll to see how many people agree with us, but I'd like to hear the conversation on what that feels like for people and what that truly looked like when they saw it and their initial reaction. Like, what was your initial reaction when you saw it? And were you good with it, or does it need to be adjusted some way? I think it would be interesting to find out. I mean, the WNBA has some fantastic fans, and, you know, they're invested in the growth of the game. They're invested in these achievements and milestones and how they have been achieved, right? Not that just that they have been achieved, but the sacrifice that has gone in to achieve these gaudy, outrageous, epically successful goals, you know, by these iconic women, and let them be that. That's all I'm saying. I want to know what people think. I want to know what people think about that. So can we put that up somehow?
I will try to find, but you can let us know in the comments if you're on YouTube.
Yeah, let us know in the comments,
or
man.
Come hit us up on the Twitters.
Hit us up.
At her Hoop Stats on Twitter as well.
Let
us know what you think. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, I'm interested too. I'm not that interested though.
I mean, I'm not angry. I'm not angry, but I'm intrigued.
I've heard a lot of fan opinions.
Angry is not the right word. I just want to see. I just want to see what that felt like for everybody.
Yeah,
that's just me. I'm not in an adversarial tone or mode. I'm not like that, but I am. You know, I have my own opinion.
Be in an adversarial tone. We can be in an adversarial tone as much as we want. I'm constantly in an adversarial tone. I live my life in an adversarial tone for the most part. But like, yeah, it's just like, I don't know. To me, like, I've been like kind of off social media in terms of like for the WNBA. I've only been getting a lot of like wrestling and tennis content, which is great because like I love wrestling. It's SummerSlam tonight. Go Seth. And then I've been watching a lot of tennis. So it's like my whole sports world in terms of like the WNBA has just been me watching the games, and it has so much improved my enjoyment of like the sport. Cause like all I'm doing is like, I get to watch these games. I get to see the actions. I get to see the players. I get to see these great, you know, people that I want to see do well or not do well. And then figuring out how to change that or continue it. So it's like, I've like, I don't know. I would recommend that to people. Like take a couple, you know, don't look at your phone.
Unplug and woosah down.
That's why I'm so zen and not constantly yelling.
Not constantly adversarial.
Speaking of real basketball, do you want to talk? You want to talk a little real basketball?
Yes. Always.
Well, not that Diana's not real basketball, but
no, I know, but like outside
court,
of milestones, yeah.
On the court. But we do have a milestone because Aces Liberty tomorrow at 3 p.m. on ABC. This is the second meeting of these teams this year. I think going to feel a little different than the first one because, New York has kind of settled in. They look better. They've won a few games. They beat the Lynx last night. So it was Friday.
Yeah.
And they're looking good. So this is their first of 4 meetings this month, including the Commissioner Cup final. And I mean, this is huge. This is like the biggest game of the season so far.
Yes.
If the Aces win, they'll go a full month without a loss. Their last loss was on July 6th.
That's crazy.
So their last loss was on July 7th. So if they win tomorrow, they will have gone an entire month without losing a basketball game, which is insane. They have won. It would be their 9th straight game. They've had 3 separate 7+ game win streaks this season. 3 of them things. Only one team has had a 7-game win streak this year. Only one other team, and that was Atlanta. Has had a 7-game win streak this season.
Yeah.
They are the team. They're already the team with the most 8+ game win streaks since 2020.
Wow.
In the past 4 years, they lead the league in longest win streaks because when they get rolling, they roll.
Yeah.
And they're rolling over folks. And Christy, I mean, maybe I'm overstating the importance of this game, but what do you think we're going to learn here from this one?
Okay, man, so many things, right? And it's not just going to be wins and losses, right? I think what we're going to learn from this game is how succinct and how smooth Jonquel Jones has evolved in the last several games for New York. Now, listen, slow out of the gates. When they came to DC, we had a chance to talk to Sandy Brondello about that. I asked her, hey, what has been the biggest challenge or hurdle for her to get acclimated to this new team and all these moving parts now with Sloot and Stewie and it's different and a new coach. There are a lot of different layers to this thing. And she just said, she just needs to, just let the game come to her. And I know that's something that coaches say all the time, but it's conceptual, but it's also rhythmic. It's a feel. Like you have to get used to who you're playing with. You have to know where they're moving, when they're moving, why they're moving in certain situations on both sides. It's not just offensive chemistry. When we're talking chemistry, it's everything. Okay. And you have to know your personnel. Like it's not just your opponents. You have to know the personnel. You got to know your personnel who you're playing with too, and know where their sweet spots are and have them know where you want the ball too. So I think it's been an adjustment, but I think Jonquel Jones is getting really comfy right now. And I think what this game is going to show more than anything is how much of an X factor she can be at the end of the day. Like, what's she going to look like? Because in that game against Minnesota, I believe they had 17 offensive rebounds. She was a huge part of that. Okay. And they scored 26 second chance points. So if that's going to be, is that going to be an X factor situation where she at 6'6", right, is going to command the glass? And against the team like Vegas, I mean, obviously Candace Parker, sending prayers out to her, with that surgery on her foot, she'll be good, but they're missing her. But then you have Alicia Clark, who's been magnificent this season for Las Vegas, coming off the bench. I mean, she's right now my 6th player of the year. I mean, there are other people who are in line, but right now, the fact that, again, best player on the best team, what category are we talking about? So boom, there she is, boom, Clark. But I think, size wise, I think New York may have an advantage.
Well, and I think,
on the glass. I'm not saying overall winning, losing. I'm saying on the boards.
Yeah, well,
because of how they played last night.
And you'd hope so. I mean, Jonquel and Asia played some awesome games against each other in the past. I think, also Jonquel is a player who plays herself more into shape as the season goes on. So she gets in better shape as the season goes on. A lot of players, tend to get more fatigued. She seems to get more in shape. She seems to pick up her conditioning as the year goes on. You hope that continues throughout the playoffs. But man, I mean, you're talking about her offensive rebounding, and that's so huge for them. Because, I mean, look, there's easy ways to get buckets in basketball. They're in transition, which, hey, okay, New York can be good at that. They're certainly not going to be better than Las Vegas in that category. And especially if you look at this as a series preview, you're saying, as New York, like, we're favored if this goes into a more half court game, quarter court, as Christy likes to say. I like to say half court. So half court, if it comes into more of a half court game, I think that favors New York. So I think they're hoping to get that out. So how do you get easy buckets in the half court? Well, offensive rebounding is one of them. If you can be bigger and put the ball back, you're going to be much better off. And, you mentioned Jonquel playing better lately. She's had 1, 2, 3 games of 5+ offensive rebounds, and then a bunch with more than 2. And it seems like those rebounds really help her get going because she's been scoring a lot more, and it gets her going defensively too. Because if you're getting rebounds, guess what the other team is not doing? They're not getting out in transition. So it's a huge factor. I'm glad you brought up Jonquel. I think it's one of the X factors. The New York needs Jonquel to be at her elite level to beat Las Vegas. They needed a lot of other things to go correctly as well. But that's one that is an absolute necessary part of it. And so to see her playing well is huge. But to talk about who's going to win and lose.
I don't know if I'm doing that. Hey, man, listen.
It's tough.
Oh, God. The way the Aces are playing, man, it's like, I think Chelsea Gray said it best. I don't know, I was watching a game and she had a halftime interview. It was an extended interview, not just on the court, a couple questions, but like an extended taped situation. And she was talking about how, last year they were all learning, right? And I remember I had them in the postseason. I had them in the first round against Phoenix in that whole series. And, that was kind of the running vibe was, hey, it's a process. Like every single game we're learning Becky Hammond as a coach, like we're learning about each other on the floor. Right. And with Chelsea Gray, obviously running the show supremely well, actually. Phenomenal. And now this year, for her to say last year was a year of adjustment and they won the whole thing. Okay. Last year was a year of adjustment and learning and understanding one another. And this year we trust each other, right? We know like there's such a strong, high level of camaraderie, of understanding your KYP on your own team and in your locker room. And I mean, we're talking about, players who have won titles and not just in Las Vegas. Okay. With Gray winning in LA, Parker winning several, in LA and then in Chicago, and then coming here this year, trying to get another one, and then Clark in Seattle winning them. So, you have a champion mindset in that locker room. And I'm not even talk about Becky Hammond and how she set the table like so well for this group. But the fact that, last year was a year of adjustment. This year, it's a season of trust and camaraderie. And that has been, in a 2-loss season, that has been impressive. It's been spectacular to watch too. And it's so exciting because you feel, and for me, basketball is always going to be a feel. It's going to be a feel when you call a timeout. It's going to be a feel when, things aren't going right. It's going to be a feel when you're running something. You shouldn't be running that. Like, it's all about how the game feels. And you have to go with that moment. Like it feels like that right now. You can't let that go. Because then you're going to lose. Okay. You have to make in-game pivots. You got to make adjustments. And I just think that for this team to be beaten, they're going to have to beat themselves. I said it. They're going to have to beat themselves. And whether you force them to beat themselves, that's another story for another day. But, the way they are rolling so comfortably, they're going to have to not be at their best in terms of their effectiveness or efficiency, their impact, as a group is going to have to wane in some way.
Here's the problem for me.
Take another L like this.
I agree with you, and they have to lose at some point because no one's like, you just can't. Maybe I'm wrong, but like they have to lose at some point. They're gonna lose more than 2 games this year. I'll put a bet on that.
What we betting? Berry Farms? We betting?
I'll just do like 15
you
push-ups.
still owe me that.
I'll
You
hey,
still
no,
owe me
you lost that bet. That was a fever bet.
No, I did lose.
Oh no,
I have to go to Berry Farms.
It was something during the college season. I don't know. We'll just say 15 push-ups.
Okay.
Would you not? Do you think they're going to lose it again this year?
I don't know, man.
It's just on me. It's just on me. If the Aces finish the season with 2 losses, I'll do 15 push-ups if I can on this podcast. I don't know if I can do 15
at Berry Farms.
That's a long trip.
I don't know why I keep. What's up, y'all?
I'll let Jordan dunk on me.
Okay, he would love that. By the way,
okay,
you know,
done. We'll let Jordan dunk on me if the Aces.
He's a new grasshopper, man. He's got some bump.
Yeah, that'll be the plan. All right, so if the Aces finish the season with 2 losses, Jordan Scott will dunk on me, and we'll put it on the podcast.
We'll put it on. Yeah, we'll put the video up.
But so here, like my thing with the Aces right now, and the more I watch them, the more I feel like this is like true, like the crux of the problem. Mm-hmm. Well, other than Asia Wilson, because if Asia Wilson touches the ball like within like 5 feet of the elbow, it's 2 points. So there's nothing you could do about that. But the other problem is like, who do you get the ball? Who do you try to shut off? Because all right, you're not gonna shut off Asia.
No,
she's gonna get hers. She's too big. She's too strong. She's too fast.
Threes.
What are you gonna do with Chelsea Gray? She's playing on a different planet at the moment. She's playing on a different freaking planet. You cannot stop. She's not playing point guard. She's playing God. Like, forget point guard. I don't understand. Like, what is happening? She is out of control.
Hey, man.
All right. So let's say somehow that we're able to get the ball out of Chelsea Gray's hands. The team also has 2 of the other best point guards in the league.
Hello.
Kelsey Plum and Jackie Young are starting point guards on every single other team in this league. And they play together, and they're playing out of their minds, both of them.
Both of them.
And it's like sometimes, like Jackie, I don't understand Jackie Young, because like she never looks like she's trying that hard. You know what I'm saying?
Smooth, man. She's like the ocean, man. She's like,
and it's the facial expressions. Like there's like, it's not like a lack of emotion. It's just like I don't know how hard. Like it feels like you're not trying that hard, and then I watch you on the court and you're doing stuff that like maybe 4 people in this league can do. And it's like, can you break a sweat, please? Like, can I see you sweat just for my own mentality? No. So this team and Kirsten Bell's coming along, scoring more. And like you mentioned, Alicia Clark's fitting in perfectly.
I love her.
Doing her job. Like, I'm with you. Aces got to beat themselves, but like the Liberty at the very least, you do sit there and say, and let me know if you do agree. Like, this is the team that they have enough. They have enough to compete and win a series against the Aces. But like the way everyone's playing now, I know is very unlikely. But you would agree, right? Like they do at least have the conceptual way of getting there.
No question. But to me, the idea of them being consistent is my biggest concern, right? And yes, they possess an incredible wealth of experience, knowledge. They're developing their chemistry. So all of these things are bonuses for them. All of these things are pluses for them. But can you do that on a consistent basis against this team in Las Vegas? Like, can you do it? And that's going to be the challenge. That's another thing. Okay, if we're making a list of things, okay, the number one thing is Jonquel Jones. How impactful will your presence and production be in this game? Okay, that's the number one thing. Number 2 thing would be, okay, for Las Vegas, are you going to beat yourselves? Like, can you stay focused to the game plan and execute the way you've been executing and go undefeated for a month? Can you do that? Okay. And then now our third thing is New York. Can you be consistent with who you have and what you know you have, right? You can look around the locker room like boom, boom, boom. Yep, we can go do this. But can you stay locked in for the entire game and not have lulls where there's either miscommunication defensively or, you just have issues on the offensive end where the ball is just not falling in the basket. And
to your point,
we've seen that with them.
Yeah, it's every night. It seems like there's every night. There's a quarter where the Liberty look normal. Last night against the Liberty, probably say the third quarter. They like stretch there between the second and third quarter. They look pretty normal.
Yeah.
They look like they weren't a team with Sabrina Ionescu, who's shooting the lights out. With Brianna Stewart, who's one of the best players in this league, with the former MVP and John Cole Jones, with one of the greatest point guards to ever play the game. And so, like, at times you look at them and you kind of forget that that's a team. And the bench has been up and down this year. To an extent that we didn't really expect. We expected the bench to be a strength. The depth just hasn't come together.
Been there.
And missed, it's been missing time, and there's just it's been kind of a revolving door, and there's players that are not performing up to their capabilities who are now kind of coming through and kind of learning. And so that's big. So the Libs, I think they're coming together, but I'm like, it's gonna happen now. And so like at this point, I feel like these games, the next, we have this one and then 3 more between the 2 teams. These are all going to be big turning points, big turning points. Well, hopefully if you're a Liberty fan, you're hoping it's a turning point to where you're saying, we're a really good team. We are the second best team in this league, but we are not sure we can be the first best team. We're not sure we can beat the Aces. And that's where I'm at. Maybe other people are past that, but I'm at the point where I'm like, I'm not sure they can do it. And to be fair, I'm not sure any team can do it. I'm talking like you can pick any historical team. And I'm going to have trouble picking them against this Aces squad at the moment, because they are just right now, they're playing some of the best basketball I've ever seen in this league. And it's just like, I don't know. I mean, like,
it's fun, man. Their style of play is so much fun, man. I mean, you sit and watch them, and it's not even tactical, right? I'm not talking about the actions they run. I'm just talking about the way that they play. They play hard, okay? And they play smart. Like, you do those 2 things, everything else is easy. You play hard, you play smart, and you play together, right? Those 3 things for them is like, no other team obviously is doing that better right now. Those 3 things.
And they have fun. They talk to you. It's just like, I love it. I love the way they play. And they do try so hard. And that's why I'm always shocked. I'm always shocked when I'm looking at Jackie Young as like another person. I'm like, I know you're trying hard. I can see it. I can see the way you're playing. But like, you still look like you're kind of like gliding.
That's exactly her. Yeah. I mean, it's I've heard it said about other players. Well, I won't say. We already said his name today, so I'm not gonna say it again. Someone who's gonna dunk on you if you lose the bet. Anyway, but I've heard him be described in this way, and it's almost like the same things that you're saying. Someone said that he had effortless effort, and I think that's what Jackie Young has, right? It's like you look up, and all of a sudden she has 28 points, and it doesn't feel like it because she gets all of her stuff so easily, and it's within their concepts and their spacing. So it's not like she's firing up shots, right? Or forcing actions or opportunities. Like, these opportunities are in a flow. And that's why we're describing her in that way. Like, she's like a maestro with that thing. Like, she's so smooth. Like, her game is just like that. And I think there was, how they do where they walk down the hallway and they're all clapping and they do their little, hey, let's go, we got game day. Like, I miss that so much. I mean, I miss playing, but I also miss, like, that's great stuff. Like, locker room circles and everybody's having a good old time. Miss that, man. But when it was her turn, like, to do something, like, she had a ponytail or whatever, and she just did one of these, like, she just like that, and that was it. And we were like, yeah, Jackie's ready, so it's, everybody's different. But she, on the inside, she's definitely obviously she has a fire in there. Sometimes you don't have to display it all the time, but I just thought that was so cute that she just flicked the ponytail, and that was like her deal. Like, everybody else is like doing the whole TikTok or whatever.
And you're right, she just never takes a bad shot. I mean, she's shooting 47.3% from 3 on 5 threes a game, which that has not been done in this league.
47.
And it's mainly because she just doesn't take bad shots. She just plays within that flow of the offense. And it really helps when somehow one of the best players in the league is, like, arguably the 4th best player on this team.
That's crazy.
Arguably, you can put anyone in that position. It's just like, she's just crushing, and the team is just great. So we'll see. Maybe there is a way that this team falls. I don't think they're gonna fall back down to earth necessarily. They're gonna remain on whatever planet they're playing basketball.
Yeah.
But maybe this is a turning point. Maybe now the Liberty can find something in this game, whether they win or not, to take forward going into the rest of the season. Because the Aces, like, you're right. It's not like the tactics are cool, and I've been watching them. I'm pulling out their plays, but it's not. I'm not sure how many like sets they have.
Yeah,
they have their concepts. Okay, we're gonna start this in a stagger. Everyone read everything. Chelsea, always have your head up because the ball may appear in your hands from Chelsea Gray. And like, okay, we'll do this now out of horns. Hey, we're gonna do horns. Everyone just like hang out and read it. And like, you're getting, they cut back door really well. They just read the defense really well. And it's like, it's not, you can't, a lot of stuff you can't teach. You just can't teach that familiarity that comes from being the champion, right? So that's 3 p.m. Sunday on ABC. You will not be watching that game live at the very least because the Mystics are playing the Sparks, and they finally got a win. Oh God, that felt like
they got the dub.
I know it was only a 3-game losing streak, but man, that felt like a long.
And it was on the road. When you lose, like they had 3 games on the road that you lose, so it's like you're traveling. And it was every other day, basically. They had those games. I mean, was it Wednesday, Friday, Sunday? I mean, dang. And then they came back, rested, recovered themselves. Had 2 really strong days of practice ahead of the game yesterday against LA. So it's a double dip with them. But I just think, the way that they've been playing in the absence of 4 really phenomenal players because of injury. But LA was missing players too. I mean, sending, healing prayers to everybody. But Lexi Brown, who had an amazing beginning of the season in LA, missed several games, I believe 11 games, and then came back a little bit after the All-Star break and unfortunately went back out again with non-COVID illness. So, it's just hard. And we were talking to Kurt Miller ahead of the game yesterday, and he was saying, hey, with their 4 being out and our 4 being out, if they were a team of 8, that would be a hard out in the playoffs. Like, I mean, that's like a hefty portion of your offense. And I think for Washington, it's been, 40% of their offense has been missing with injury. So, no excuses to be made. I mean, reality is what it is. And, be a dead horse to say it over and over, but that's what's happening. I mean, that's the issue. Yeah. But the fact that Washington was able to get a 2-point win yesterday, and now, with 1 day in between, turn right back around and run it back. I mean, so this is going to be a hungry LA team, obviously, in Washington too. Yeah. But whoever loses in that first game, they're going to come back a little stronger in the next game, because it's like, dang, we were one possession away. And you're talking about 1 turnover, a couple free throws, like, layup miss. Yeah, all those, and that's why I say there's no such thing as little things because of that. Right? Everything's a big thing. And that's why I'm like, everything out here, like, you got to do your job, right? But I mean, I'm saying that as a coach, not like just for whatever, Kurt Miller, who is wonderful. But I just think that, when you look back and you see, 1 possession, where do we leave that on the cutting room floor? Where do we leave that? So I think there's going to be some swift adjustments by both teams, right? Because even when you win, there's adjustments to be made. Okay, so I think it's going to be. When
you lose, there's a lot more adjustments.
There are more when you lose, but there's not. It's not like you win and say, "Oh, let's go get some shots up Saturday and come back and play again." Like, there's still some, some wrinkles you want to smooth out for the game, even though you won it. But yeah, the list is probably a little longer if you lose it.
It's a lot. Well, I think the thing is, it's a lot easier to convince yourself to make adjustments after you lose, because
you're like, wait, like, what do we do? Yeah,
we need to change, right? When no one's ever saying, well, you can try to say we need to change stuff after a win, but not a lot of people are going to listen to you. Hey, we just won, we feel great.
Not going to change a whole lot. Yeah.
But so in this game, I mean, I think the LA is actually just very, like, they got so unlucky. I think there was like a lot of moments in this game where they could have taken momentum and it was just a bad bounce. I mean, I think right at the end of the game, maybe like 50 seconds left, Mystics had a couple looks at really good looks at layups, and they smoked them, they missed them, and then ball bounces across 3 Sparks hands out of bounds, going to the Mystics, and it was like they had a bunch of moments like that. So if you're the Sparks, you're almost saying like, we should have broken through. But I think also for the Mystics, like, you look at the way the score, the box score, and you're like, well, Brittany Sykes only had 7 points, and she missed a lot of good shots. And Natasha Cloud, I want to talk about her struggles on offense a little bit, but she also had a rough game shooting, and like some of the shots should have just gone in, like realistically. So I think there's things on both sides where you're like, okay, we were unlucky. But I think for the Mystics, honestly, one of the biggest things that's been coming from this has been Tiana Hawkins, her confidence. I mean, 2 straight games with 17 points. Yeah. That's the first time she's had a streak of 15 plus point games consecutively since 2019. And I can't remember a time where she's played this confident. We talked a little bit about it last week. I'm just really happy to see her like step back on Nneka Ogwumike in the corner.
In the corner.
I'm like, all right.
Free ball too.
She's playing so confidently and freely. Yeah. And her defense has been good. She's been playing well on both ends. So I'm just really, really happy to see that. And then obviously Queen Egbo, career high 15 points, showing a lot of potential. She's not consistent yet. She's young, but a lot of potential as a future piece in terms of being a backup center, just due to her length, her shot blocking, her rolling to the rim, and her ability to find points in this offense. So it was great to see that from the front court. Yeah, no question. I mean, you're talking about Shakira Austin and Elena Delle Donne being out, right? I know Shakira's been out since June 25th, and Elena Delle Donne probably around, the same amount of time. Yeah. Feels like she was right after that. It's just been crazy. But I think, Tiana Hawkins has been amazing this season. I mean, just thrilling to watch the way that she has played with the level of confidence that she's played with. I know she's had 2 double-doubles. I know that she is, she's going to fight you on the glass. Like, that's just a given. She's going to bring all of the energy there. But when you're talking about Queen Egbo yesterday, her ability to knock in that mid-range shot. Yes. I was really happy to see that. And not that she's never shown that, but she hasn't shown that consistently throughout a game here in DC. I've seen it at Baylor, and I've seen it at, when she was at Indiana last year as a rookie. She's only second year. But I just thought it was really fun to see her play the way that she did. And, her mid-range game, she was in the pinch post, knocking down turnaround faders. And she was right there inside the nail. Boom. Mid-range, she got fouled on one of them, knocked that in and one. I'm like, okay. So my thought process is outside of Beyonce being in town and me calling her Queen E. That's what I put out there because I thought it was really good. Anyway, but she got the hard hat, because she was on the glass. I think she had 9 rebounds too. Yeah. She was fighting on the boards. But I think when Delle Donne and Austin come back, Gabe, listen, that's gonna be, and the way that they have been playing, the way that Hawkins and Egbo have been playing, how fun is that gonna be, right? To have all that depth on the interior, that's gonna be fun. It solves a huge problem the Mystics had, which was their backup front court situation. It was questionable coming in because people hadn't seen we saw all the work that Tiana put in, so we were pretty confident in her abilities. But there wasn't that kind of backup center that was like, I'm gonna protect the paint in the same way that it's not the same way that Shakira can do it, but in the same style that Shakira does it. They didn't have that, and Egbo really helps that. And then you have Tiana Hawkins. You're playing like this, like there we go. We have a really strong backup front court, and then the back court is still, they haven't found that quite the depth, but I think Lee Monk's playing well. And Brittany Sykes, I said she only had 7 points, but she dominated the game. And I'm watching it back. She dominated. It was like every time, like she got penetration when the team needed it. She got big buckets in transition when they needed it. She got the steals, she got the rebounds, she got the assists. She was all over the place. They were denying her, so she just found the outlets, and that was really impressive to me because the scoring's great for Brittany Sykes, but we know she can do that. I want to see her do this stuff a little bit more because I think when Ariel Atkins is around and Elena Delle Donne's around and Shakira's around, there's less scoring. So we're going to see that aspect of her game more. And I love that aspect of her game because I think she's just a phenomenal player. And especially on a night where Natasha struggled to put the ball in the hoop. I still had 6 assists, like another good game on that front. Still a great defensive player. Still had the game stealing steal, all that stuff. Yeah. But still struggling to put the ball in the basket. for Brittany Sykes to also not be able to put the ball in the basket and the team still win says a lot about what they're doing. I mean, I'm still a little concerned about the backup and the depth in the front and the backcourt as the season goes on. And depth just overall. And it's hard to say the whole team's gonna be healthy, but like this was encouraging, and hopefully they need to pick up that game on Sunday. Personally, in my opinion, I think they need that one too.
Yeah, and I think for more reasons than the record. I mean, they're sitting at 13-13 right now. Washington is, and I think just for confidence, moving forward until the bodies return to the floor. I saw the injury report. No one's coming back. All four still out. Tolliver's still out. Atkins, and then Deladon and Shakira Austin. So, they're going to have to fight for this win tomorrow. And I think it's going to be, a pivotal situation, like you said. I mean, 26 games in to a 40-game season. I mean, you don't want to wait until the last 5 games to try to force yourselves into the win column. So I think they just have to obviously take care of some things so it's not as close. But at the same time, they're going to have to, bear down. They're going to have to bear down and focus on what they did well yesterday. But at the same time, you're looking at an LA team that's hungry, and not that Washington isn't, but they're hungry because they lost on Friday, right? I mean, that's something you can't really scout again. So we were talking about, how the Aces play, just kind of read and react kind of situations. And LA kind of plays like that. And they run a lot of screening actions, but a lot of it is read and react. A lot of it is, just trying to set teammates up. And that's how Kurt Miller said he's played when he was at Colorado State. He coached Becky Hammond there, and then Bowling Green, he coached there, and obviously Connecticut and now LA. So he runs a lot of pick and roll actions. When the play breaks down, you're playing pickup out on the yard, the Berry Farms, right? You're going to run and pick and roll. Like you don't have sets, but you will see what teams do when you try to set some screening actions or ghost or, slip and all that other stuff you can do. But it's just interesting to see, it will be interesting to see what kinds of adjustments will be made. I know Washington threw a little zone in there, and they've been doing that this season.
Was huge. That little stretch with the zone was big.
It made a difference. They got glass. They got the glass work during that time, right? And got the possessions that they needed. And you're talking a 1-possession win. So I just thought the zone kind of, took LA out of rhythm. They weren't going in to NECA as easily. The ball, when it did get in there, they were muddying it up. It, really complicated any clean looks in the paint. So that'll be interesting to see if they do a little more zone because of how effective it was when they used it during that stretch to solidify the win.
Well, and they, I think the DC had a lot of great tactical decisions defensively. They iced the pick and rolls. They really they sold out to stop the dribble penetration. They said, you're not going to score in the paint. They did a good job of that. And they pushed LA to the mid range, and LA just couldn't make any of those mid range shots. And they got to the right shooters. Right? They got the right shooters taking those mid rangers. So great defense, but really, and this is a Miami Heat quote as always. Like defense is about multiple efforts on every single play.
I like it.
It's about doing 2 things, and this is a Baylor quote, Baylor men's quote. You got to do 2 things at once in basketball. If you're doing one thing, you're not doing enough. If you're only guarding your man on defense, you're not doing enough.
You're not helping.
You got to be doing 2 things, 3 things. And I think the Mystics last night, top to bottom, did a great job giving those multiple efforts. Okay, we iced it. They slipped it. We're recovering to the popper. You're rotating over here. Natasha, give ball pressure so they can't get that pass off as much. It was very in sync, very on a string, and they got enough misses to win the game by 1 possession. Yeah. We'll see what happens. I think for LA, you mentioned they play a lot of read and react. They don't have the talent that the Aces do. So they're going to need to be need to be a little bit more intentional about, we're not just going to take what DC gives us. DC's too good of a defense for us to just take. We're going to need to force the issue. And whether that, I don't know what the answer is necessarily. Maybe it's getting the ball down to NECA in the post a little more. Maybe it's letting her work against mismatches on the perimeter a little bit more. She has a great rip through. Maybe it's getting her the ball in the short corner. I'm not sure what the exact answer is for them. But I think they just need to be a little bit more intentional in terms of, hey, we got, Azrae Stevens had a nice game shooting because they were giving up the pop. Well, we don't want that. Like we need to get into the paint more if you're LA. And so obviously Washington's going to have to adjust to whatever adjustments LA is going to do to get that. And so a little chess match. I mean, I love having these 2 games straight. I think we've talked, these games have happened a lot in the past just because of the travel implications. So it's really interesting. I think this is like the hardest coaching you're going to have to do outside the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure. And I love the fact that I like these back-to-back games. I don't know who doesn't like them. I love them. I think they're really intriguing. Huh?
I'm a fan of them. I'm with you.
I'm a fan of that, but I'm also a fan of, 4 games between the Las Vegas Aces and New York Liberty this month. So I'm a fan of that too. It's like a little appetizer for the playoffs, and you have to be ready, and you have to make, you have to make quick pivots, not just with one day in between, but I'm talking about in game. And I think with Curt Miller and Eric Thibault and Mike Thibault, the GM for the Mystics, I mean, they're all, they share the same pillars of understanding and philosophy. And I think that's the word that Curt Miller used pregame yesterday with us when we were talking to him. He said, we share the same pillars of understanding the game. And he said he's learned so much from Mike Thibault and Eric, and vice versa, right? Like they've seen a lot of Connecticut. That's who they beat in the title game in 2019 and in 5-game series. So, I mean, they're very familiar with what they like to do defensively in particular. And I think that's what Eric was saying. Like, they look like a Curt Miller coach team on the defensive end, and it's just the principles there. And you saw it a couple times too defensively last night where LA blitzed the ball handler, whether it was Sykes or Cloud. And Eric was anticipating that. He was like, they're probably going to try to get it out of their hands, so they can't score. And they did take them out of rhythm, right? So they had to give it up. So the shots they did take, they were tougher shots. But Sykes almost had a triple-double. Didn't she have 7 or 8 assists and 7 or 8 rebounds?
Yeah. It was a ridiculous line.
Yeah, she was real close.
Let me see. She didn't have I don't think she had double in anything. She just was like close to a quadruple-double or something. Let me see. Yeah. So she had ended the game with 8 points. Okay. 8 points, 8 assists, 7 rebounds, 4 steals.
Ridiculous.
Ridiculous. 0 for 6 from 3 too. Like she went 3 for 15, and we're sitting here talking about her having a good game. That's awesome. That's like how it should be. And Natasha Cloud 3 for 9, and we can sit here and point to good stuff she did to help them win the game.
You did.
I think that's when you're hurt, you need something.
You got to do
sometimes
something.
You need a player that's 3 for 15 to have 8 assists.
Right.
That doesn't happen often.
And board work. And that's the thing. It's like you're talking about Brittany Sykes. Okay, those 3 games that they lost. Okay, I think she had 4 steals. I think it was Minnesota, then Dallas. She had 5 steals. No, yeah, it was
6. She had 6 in one of them.
She had 6 in Atlanta.
Yeah, Atlanta.
Right. So she had 15 steals in those 3 games. Okay, and then she comes right back out of the gates after that and gets 4 steals last night. I mean,
while struggling on offense.
She's a machine. Like, she's just going to go hard. That's what I was talking about. Like, you got to respect that in players. Like, I don't care if you're a coach or a fan or a teammate or opponent. Okay, you're going to respect the fact that a player like Brittany Sykes is going to come at you every single time. No plays off. And no time during that play is going to be taken off by her. Like, and you can say that about a lot of different players like Cloud. Okay. But when you have Brittany Sykes, who's new to this group this year, I think it's really been fun to watch the fire that she plays with this group. It's almost like it's like, you have a candle, 2 candles, and they're right here with each other. That's Cloud and Sykes to me. Like, they're just both like so fiery and just fantastic in that way that they communicate, but that they compete. But I just think it's interesting to watch that dynamic continue to mature and develop.
They're unlocking each other, right? They're unlocking things that the other can do. And I think one of the biggest reasons Brittany Sykes has been able to play like this year is because she's playing next to Natasha Cloud.
Absolutely.
I don't think that happens if you say, hey, Brittany Sykes take over the point guard responsibilities all the time. That's not her. That's not the way she wants to play. It's not like that. Yeah. Like, they both want to have someone take over those roles. And I think they really complement each other well. If they were, it's a lot easier when they're shooting well to see that kind of offensive vision. But I think just like the defensive vision, first off, is always there because that effort that you're talking about. And
Yeah.
secondly, like they really just do a great job of helping unlock each other in this game. So, I mean, I'm excited for the Mystics. I hope they get healthy because I'm tired of talking about, good things. And
it's so hard.
I want them to just be healthy so we could talk about them as a full team. For LA, I mean, I honestly, I just don't think this is we talked about KYP, know your personnel. Yeah. I'm not sure this is the full Kurt Miller group. He has a few of his players in there. I think it's just not the group he's used to coaching. And it's tough because they just like their depth is lacking and they've had injuries and all that. And so I think given more time, Kurt Miller will show up and it will look more like the Kurt Miller teams that we've seen. But Zia Cook, I haven't looked at their stats. I'm sure they're not like great. I'm right about Zia Cook. We can go back to my draft takes. I'm right about Zia Cook. She's going to be a player in this league and she's going to be a player for a long time.
Yeah, she plays with some grit. Okay. There was a play. Who was it that drove in? I think it was Shatori Walker Kimbrough and was late in the game. And Shatori went up to take a drive to the rim and she tied her up and just ripped the ball. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, okay. But she knocked down some threes that were, much needed for them momentum wise. But yeah, she's got a bright future. I mean, she's got and that's the thing in the Final Four. I think I mentioned that too last night on the broadcast that, when she was playing in the Final Four this past season, I know they won it in 2022, but in the Final Four, like she was the best player on the floor. And that's no shade to anybody else who was out there. She was best player on the floor, man. She was killing. And it was just the confidence and the pro-ready attack that she had, her body balance on defense and her knowledge of where to be on the defensive end, I thought was really fun to watch too. But yeah, I mean, I think her future, you're talking about Queen Egbo and Shakira Austin and like all these like first, second year players. I mean, the league is in great hands. The league is in great hands, man. I know we started with Taurasi, and how long her tenure has been in the league. But man, the baton has been passed to some really great kids who are hooping, as rookies and second year players.
And we already see that next group of superstars, super duper stars, great, faces of the league. We have those two. Yeah. We have Asia and Brianna and then the group all around them. Yeah. And now we're talking about the next generation and it's looking nice. And fun, if you look in college, I don't have to tell you all the players that are coming out very soon. So this is the league is bright. And we didn't even mention Leah Boston. We'll hit the teams that we've missed in a while. I haven't talked about the Fever in a bit. Yeah. So we'll talk about them soon. But I do need to I need to go because Coco Gauff is looking like she's gonna pull this match out in 2 sets. So yeah. If you saw my face be weird at some point, it's because she and Samsonov, like they played an awesome point. It was a break point for like Samsonov needed it. So Goff's opponent needed it. And it was just like, a dogged point. Yeah. So yeah, let's head on out and we'll talk. I got to talk tennis for like another day and a half and then I'll get right back to all basketball.
No, I love it. No, it'll be fun. And this was a great conversation, obviously with everything going on in the WNBA. And let's give Diana Taurasi her flowers and let her hold them by herself. All right, I'm just going
to her jersey.
I was going to leave that there, and then we didn't even talk about Skylar Diggins-Smith, but we'll save that.
Oh too. Yeah, we do need it.
We'll save that.
I was just excited to talk basketball.
I know, yeah, we just did all hoops, but we're going to come back next time and talk about some other things too. Yeah, but thank you guys for stopping by right here on the Her Hoop Stats Podcast Network for Courtside with Christy and Gabe. We're going to have to get out of here. They're cutting the lights out on us. We don't have to go home. We got to bounce out right now, though. But thanks again for joining us. We will catch you on the flip side. For Gabe Ibrahim, I'm Christy Winter-Scott, and we'll see you next time.